right. Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of the Bearski Film Show. Yeah, we're happy to be here with you guys. We're probably going to be on a little bit more consistently now that training camp is underway. And I just want to start this thing off right away by, me and David, we send topics back and forth to each other. That's pretty much all the preparation we do. Just kind of like, hey, you got any ideas for the show? You got any ideas? And one of the things I sent them was Jaylon Johnson is a bitch, which in private conversation, I mean, that's all that needs to be said. But I'd like to expand on that because our good friend, our little brother, Carl, got attacked on Twitter again, David. And it was not okay. They did him wrong, okay? And, one of the things that guy that attacked him had a post about was Jaylon Johnson and his contract dispute recently, saying that he's not happy being the 14th best paid corner a year after he just signed a new deal. And man, David, I don't know about you, shit rubs me the wrong way, especially because during those contract negotiations with Jaylon Johnson, we said, hey, he's probably worth $16 million based off the situation. You're going to have to overpay him a little bit, $18 million a year, and he wound up getting 19 a year. I thought it was very well accurately structured and paid for what he is and who he is. And now, a year later, he wants to take that bonus that he got from the situation and use it to his advantage even more. And because, what the guy's response was, and by the way, he blocked me on Twitter too. I don't give a fuck, but his response to me was, my first comment was, dude, Jaylon Johnson is not a top 5 corner in this league, because he said some crazy thing like that. And he's like, I'm just not running for that. And it's like, okay, well, then obviously you don't know how to have a debate. But, dude, he is not a top 5 corner in this league. And, David, I want to ask you real quick. Some of these arguments made for Jaylon Johnson. One of them, which came around that contract time, was that quarterbacks do not like to throw his way or on his side of the field. Do you know who the second corner in Jaylon Johnson's first year? He was corner number 2. Kyle Fuller was corner number 1. In Jaylon Johnson's second year, do you know who cornerback number 2 was? You are muted. Yeah, there you
go. Yeah, I'm not. I can't think of it off the top of my head. Jaylon Johnson was the second corner his rookie year.
Yes. Year 2, he was corner 1. Who was cornerback number 2?
Wow. It's gonna hit me like a ton of bricks when you say it, but I don't know off the top of my head.
Vildor.
Kendall Vildor. Ugh.
Yes. In that year, Jaylon Johnson had no interceptions, no sacks his rookie year. His second year, he had 1 interception. Year 3, he's got no interceptions. He had 1 fumble recovery on the season. Do you know who the second corner was in his third year?
His third year? Is he still on the team?
Yes. It was listed as rookie Kyler Gordon, which I know started as a nickel right away. By the end of the season, I think he was forced to play there because of injuries and situation. But even so, you had him as a rookie. You had Jaquan Brisker there as a rookie. Dude, you had an aging Eddie Jackson at one point. Then you had who? Tashawn Gibbs. What I'm saying is there's a lot of holes in the secondary for you to be able to attack as an offense outside of Jaylon Johnson. And that could very well attribute to why Jaylon Johnson was not being thrown at as much as he could be thrown at. Why would you throw at one of the better pieces in cornerback 1 on the defense? By the way, his third year, no interceptions, no nothing. His fourth year, come contract time, he had 4 picks. 3 of them came at bullshit moments. I didn't have the time to exactly look those up, but I remember they were against second-string quarterbacks, I believe against the Raiders, against the Browns. There was 3 picks total between those 2 games against second-string quarterbacks in games that were pretty well put away. And then last year, he goes back down and only has 2 picks, right? Now, David, as far as rankings go, right, in his second year, he was ranked somewhere between the 25th and 30th best corner in the league. In his third year, he was ranked between 70th and 80th. In the contract year, he was ranked 5th or 6th, right? So what that means is, be careful contract. So he got paid.
Very. I don't. Maybe somebody in the chat can confirm, but I'm hearing every other word right now.
How are you? That sucks.
Yeah.
I could log in.
No. You're doing okay, but it's a little bit choppy.
That sucks. So last year, David, he was the 15th best corner. Yeah, Paul was breaking up bad. Let me quit and re-quit. David, you respond to this. I'll be right back.
So I don't know how to respond necessarily because Paulie's opinion is quite substantial and quite like direct. So I don't really know what's going on necessarily with Jaylon Johnson. I assume I've seen that he's on the NFI list, which means he's not available to practice or play in training camp, but it's not an injury. So I'm going to assume, and the moment I saw that, is that he wants more money. So he is, I don't necessarily agree with Paulie. I think he is top 5. I don't know if he's top 3 necessarily, but he is top 5. And I'm waiting for Paulie to log back in to kind of make my point. My point with this whole contract situation, because when the moment I saw that that Jaylon Johnson is not reporting to training camp, I had the non-football injury list. So, but I think the general consensus is that people assume he's holding out due to contract. And I don't know if that's true or not, and whatever. There's a few things that I have an issue with Jaylon Johnson not being there at training camp early on, is that during the Matt Eberflus years, there was a really messy type of situation going on with all the players and like who is going to lead this team as a player. Carl, can you elaborate? If NFI doesn't have anything to do with the contract, why is he on the non-football injury list, and why he's saying he's injured then? So shouldn't he be on the PUP list? I'm confused on the I'm not like questioning. I'm just genuinely curious because I don't know what it means. I took it the same way as because he ended up on the NFI list, is that he was basically saying he wants more money. The funniest part about this is that if this is the situation, the very first thing I could think of, Paulie, and I hope you understand what I'm referencing, is this is the exact scene from Mr. Deeds. This is the guy who walks in, and Mr. Deeds is like, well, I played much better than my contract. And then he's going like, well, if you agreed to this contract, and if you had played much, much worse, could we have paid you less money? Well, no. So I don't know. Like, if he's asking for more money, then it's a problem because he did 100% agree to the contract. The other part of this is like, sorry, dude, in the NFL, sometimes you sign like not the best contract. You'll sign a top 10 contract, or maybe you'll have the 15th best contract, but like understand that money is going to the rest of the team to be successful, and then you'll get another payday. But right now, if it is a contract situation, which not necessarily it is, he's top 5, top 10. I do like Jaylon Johnson. I think he's going to be he is one of the few pieces from the old regime that needs to carry over into this new regime to be relevant. But also with Jaylon Johnson, like, dude, be careful with how you're approaching this new offseason and this new regime, because we don't know how Dennis Allen likes to treat cornerbacks if he feels that they're more expendable. We don't know how Al Harris feels about cornerbacks. From what I understand about Al Harris and cornerbacks coach, he likes 6'3", 6'4" dudes who run 4.2 40s. So like none of those things is Jaylon Johnson. Jaylon Johnson is really fucking good, but is he going to be good on this team and this scheme? I don't know. But that was the first thing that came to my mind, was literally the scene from Mr. Deeds, where, well, I played better than top 15 cornerback, so, you know, I deserve more money. Well, it's like, well, if you had been the 30th best cornerback, would you have taken less money? No, you wouldn't have. So I hope that Jaylon Johnson is not complaining about his contract situation, but I can't say for sure whether or not he is. I don't think anybody can. Carl mentioned that they'll have the exclusive on Hogan Johns, moving forward. But I mean, we'll see. Otherwise, in training camp, like, yeah, dude, if you're one of the few people not participating in this very, very strict training camp so far, then I think that's a bad sign to start with. So, from what I've seen so far, it's day one. I've seen some hard ass Ben Johnson coaching, and I don't think that this team necessarily will tolerate what is going to be kind of like half-assed approach and half-assed effort. So, Paulie, I don't know how much of that you caught and how much of that you were able to hear, but basically, I don't necessarily agree with 100% of what you're saying. Like, I do think Jaylon Johnson is top 5, but that's part of the negotiation process, is that you signed that contract to be not top 5 paid. That money's going to go somewhere else. And again, it's the Mr. Deeds scenario. Like, well, if you had played like the 50th best cornerback, could we pay you like the 50th best cornerback? No. Well, then you don't get to complain when you're not getting paid. So, based on the chat and what people are saying, it's not a money thing. It's more of an injury thing, non-football injury list type injury. But yeah, you need guys like Jaylon Johnson to be in there, because during even the Matt Eberflus transition, I feel like he was one of the few players that seemed like, if he plays well in Chicago for the next 10 to 12 years, that's like a bear. Like, he is a Chicago Bear. Like, if he continues this career path as a Chicago Bear, he's going to be one of my like favorite players. But if he starts being a diva and in terms of like contracts and all that stuff, then yeah, like he can very quickly be off this team in this type of situation.
Yeah, dude. And so, I don't know. Like I said, it just doesn't sit well with me a year after signing a contract. I don't know. I just don't like it. So, yeah, it's how I felt. I'm really sorry about all the technical issues. I'm afraid that they might continue. I don't know why my internet.
Well, it's our first show back in a very long time, so yeah. I think people will understand.
If it gets really bad, just let me know. I mean, I can try.
I'll let you know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. So I don't know. Timing's pretty ironic, isn't it? I mean, I know it's an injury, but like,
I don't know if it's ironic. It just feels suspicious, and so like that's the kind of feeling I got off of it too. It was the very first time I saw the non-football injury list. Yeah, Paul, you are a bit quiet, so I don't know if your microphone's far, but
is that better?
Yeah, it just felt much better, but yeah, it felt a little bit suspicious, and it felt bad timing, considering what Ben Johnson is claiming he's gonna kind of approach in this year's training camp and what he's gonna do with the team, and then you've got all this hard-nosed, hard-ass type of football mentality, and the leader of your defense is not available. It just felt like bad timing, and I thought the same thing you did, and I don't know as much information about it as maybe anybody else does, but it did feel very much like he is not necessarily participating because of contract situation. That was my gut instinct, or what I thought was happening, but apparently, based on the chat, that's not necessarily what's happening.
Yeah, and I mean, Jaquan Brisker's had a concussion for the rest of Matt Eberflus's career here, right? So
I had a concussion the entire Matt Eberflus career. What the fuck are you talking about?
We all did, right?
Yeah.
And dude,
slammed my fucking head.
Right. It feels like Jaylon Johnson to me is trying, like I said, take advantage of situation. And I just don't think he's shown anything in his career. He's got 3 years with, dude. If I could find my little piece of paper again, I had written down right here. Dude, in 2021, the leading corner had 11 picks. In that 1
Pat
year.
Surtain, I'm assuming.
Trevon Diggs. 2022, there was a 4-way tie for 6 in each year, or for 4 guys that had 6 each. 2023, 2024, 9 interceptions was the leading number. Like, dude, you haven't even come close to that your best year. You know what I mean? Like, so you had a good year, but you had a crap year. Like, there's nothing there consistently yet to show me that you are willing, or I mean, that you are deserving of reconstructing a contract or whatever like that. Like, it's just not. You're a very good average, which is what he's always been. A very good average.
We're gonna find out, man, because like this has been a very weird offseason with contracts and contract negotiations in general. The Bears themselves have, I mean, Jaylon Johnson is not even in the top 3 of your contract problems going on right now. I think Luther Burden was number 1, not even necessarily to a fault of his own. I think that was more of a rookie pay scale, second round pick pay scale problem. Tyler Shuck, type of pay scale situation. So like, I don't know, man. I don't think Jaylon Johnson missing a few training camp days is necessarily important, but
I was reading 6-7 weeks, David.
For who?
Jaylon.
I don't know enough about the situation to comment on it like vehemently. That's kind of where I'm
fair.
at.
That's fair.
So like when but like I did get the same general vibe off of it when I saw his name pop up, because in my head, when I saw his name pop up on the NFI, and you know, Carl can correct me, but I was listening to the most recent Hogan Johns episode, and they were commenting on the NFI list of who's not available for training camp. Jaylon Johnson's name is really the only one that kind of stood out. And so
okay, yeah,
it was the
worse.
Yeah, it was the only name that stood out. For what reason it stood out, I don't know. Like, is he actually hurt? Is he going to be hurt for long term? Is he going to be back? But like, Jaylon Johnson, the only way I'll agree with you in the sense of like your initial reaction is Jaylon Johnson has never played himself into the favor of the fan base, right? Like, on the other side, he's also been kind of screwed over his entire career in the Bears, right? Like the moment Matt Eberflus got there, he was a second-year corner drafted by who was it? Right before Matt Eberflus. Jaylon Johnson wasn't a Matt Eberflus draft pick, was he?
His rookie year, Kyle Fuller was still there.
Yeah, so he was drafted by John Fox, correct, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
So
yes,
when he got drafted, if you remember, he was placed on third string because that's
right.
He was playing third string in training camp under Matt Eberflus because Matt Eberflus kind of didn't like Jaylon Johnson's attitude and he needed him to earn it and whatever else. So like he was Payson Nagy. There you go. Not John Fox, Nagy. I skipped a whole fucking coach. But really what it was is that, you know, Eberflus didn't like him necessarily. And
you muted yourself. Maybe you're having some mic issues, David.
No,
there you go.
No, that's okay. The dogs were just running and barking, so I just
I got you. So you know, we'll see what happens with that whole thing.
My point with Jaylon Johnson is he has this like history and this career of kind of not having benefit of the doubt. So whenever you see his name pop up, he kind of has a diva association attached to him, when in reality he doesn't. He's not really a diva. Like, he's a grind and work hard kind of player. Second round pick, kind of played through injury, played above his skill level and what he was supposed to be. So like, I don't know, man. I do agree with you in the sense of like, it just comes off really, really negatively, but because he's literally the best player on your team minus Joe Thuney. Like, before you brought Joe Thuney over, he was probably the best player on your team, period. So
DJ Moore.
Jaylon Johnson's a better player than DJ Moore.
Yeah, I agree.
Jaylon Johnson is considered top 5 at his position. There's nobody who thinks DJ Moore is top 5 at his position. Nobody. Not a single person.
I don't consider him top 5. That's where I'm at. Like
Well,
he played.
I mean, I don't think
15
DJ Moore is
plus corner
considered top
last
10 by anybody.
year. He's not. He's probably between 15 and 20, right? Like
right. And Jaylon Johnson at worst is top 10. At worst.
Well, like I said, we've
At
seen
worst
some
is
pretty
top
crappy
10.
seasons.
At worst, he's top 10. I mean, I don't.
That's
I
why.
don't, I disagree.
That's why
Right
it's
now,
a back and forth. No, yeah, and that's why a lot of people disagree with me too. Like Night Swag said, I'm tripping. I'm not tripping. I'm just being consistent because I've been on this with Jaylon Johnson for a while. Like to me, he's a very high average player. I don't think he's anything crazy special. He compared to what else we have, sure, David. Like he is a necessity right now for us, which is why I said I think he's taking advantage of that because he knows that.
again, I don't know. We don't know why he's even like not practicing. So it is a little bit early into training camp into why he would even not be playing. But yeah, I mean, it did rub me the wrong way for sure. So.
Yeah, I do want to move on though. I wanted to ask you. My next question is this division up for grabs? I know it was super competitive last year. I know we had the Lions and the Vikings, one win apart. But when you take a look at the landscape and you break it down team by team, is this division actually open?
So I was thinking about this the other day as well. Just a thought experiment of like, what is the power ranking of the NFC North again? And until I see more from Ben Johnson, yes, it is wide open for a few reasons. I think the only team that hasn't moved off of its place in terms of being consistent and being the considerable favorite of where they are is the Packers. Not much has changed about the Packers. They are who they were last year. I think Jordan Love is exactly who Jordan Love is. I don't think he's special, but I don't think he's bad. So like I leave them in their ranking at like 2-1, just period, because that's who they are. The reason I don't put them at 1 hard stop is because the Vikings were number 1 last year. I think they got better. And the only reason
2.
What?
Lions were 1.
Okay, you're right. I'm sorry. By default, they were 2 because the Lions were absolutely dominant last year. The Vikings, the only reason I wouldn't put them penciled in at number 2 again the Vikings is because JJ McCarthy's such a fucking wild card. And I've heard people who watch JJ McCarthy who think that he's an absolute bum. And I know a lot of people who say, like, if he's 80% of what Sam Darnold was, that's a 12-win team again. So,
which is why I think it was kind of risky to move on from Sam Darnold, dude. You just keep it consistent, and you are a 12-win team again. But yeah, they're gambling, man, and that's why part of this conversation. Because it's like if you do face those rookie challenges, you're gonna pay for them. You could fall off. Right? Like, you're not getting much better than you were last year, but I mean, they were damn good. They are for sure the most talented team in this division, I think.
I think they got better. Every single way that the Vikings could get better, other than the Sam Darnold to JJ McCarthy transition, the Vikings are better overall, right? So they're fucking scarier. But as we know in this league, if JJ McCarthy's a fucking bum, then they're going to be really, really bad. I don't know who their backup quarterback is off the top of my head. I don't know if you do, but if JJ McCarthy is 80% of what Sam Darnold is, I think they're still a 12-win team. I think they're really, really good overall. And I think the reason they're like a wild card in the way that they move up or down the scale, I think the Vikings are still my number 1 team in the division because I just believe that JJ McCarthy can't possibly be that bad. I don't think he could. Sam Howell. So there you go, from the Seahawks. So I don't believe that JJ McCarthy could possibly be that bad. I think at worst, even if he's like 60% of what Sam Darnold was, I think we're looking at a pretty damn solid team moving forward in Minnesota. Perfect for them. They have like contract controlled quarterback. they have a contract control quarterback. I think JJ McCarthy is going to be above average. I think the theory that we've been developing on our show or us talking over the years is that the quarterback position is not as much boom or bust as it used to be. And that's why it's so fucking hard to move on from quarterbacks in the NFL nowadays. It's like you give everybody 3-4 years to fail and be mediocre because you're hoping that they kind of progress and they become decent. But like quarterbacks don't just come in the league and drop off a cliff anymore. They're just solid. Like JJ McCarthy is definitely going to be solid and fine. But so for him to be solid and fine, unless he starts throwing a 1 touchdown to 2 pick ratio moving this season, I think the Vikings are still my number one team. Is the NFC North wide open? I don't think so. I think there is still a generally laid out pecking order here. And I think the Bears are at the bottom of it, but I still put the Vikings and the Packers at the top right now, like they did. I'm sorry to dismiss Detroit. I'm not dismissing Detroit, but I mean, they lost 2 key members of their offensive line. They just lost their star defensive tackle for the entire season. They lost both of their coordinators over the offseason. So it's just tough to for me to pencil them in as back at number 1, but I still put, the Bear to say the division is wide open. No, I don't agree. I still think this is one of the toughest, if not the toughest divisions in football moving forward this year. I think the division itself got better overall, minus the Lions. Yeah, so I'm worried about the Bears. I've had a little bit of a come back to earth moment this year of what Ben Johnson is going to provide and what the Bears are going to be this year. But no, I don't think the NFC North is wide open by any stretch of the imagination.
And that's a great answer. When I heard that conversation, I kind of felt the same way too. You could argue that the Lions did lose more than the other teams, but and there is some toss up, but there's some damn good teams in this division, and we were at the bottom. That's where we're starting at. So, we got to, and I hate going back to this, we do have to see it, right? A lot of things are laid out to be good on paper, but you got to go out there and execute and actually do those things. And that's what we've seen a lack of execution. David, I was at work and I was telling my coworkers, when you're dealing with chaos at a job and everybody strives for any kind of structure and consistency. At least make the simple stuff planned and controlled. And my head was this is why you wanted Mike Vrabel and not Ben Johnson. And I'm like, shut up, brain. but here we are watching Vrabel pick some boring linemen with a top 10 pick. And, listen, the flashiness, it's high risk, high reward. This is set up to succeed on paper. It's also set up to fail in a way. You can make both arguments. You really could. And so, if it works, it's going to look pretty. It's all going to depend on Caleb really going out there and fucking lighting it up, man. If this kid can play and swing it, I think by week 5, week 6, if you see it start clicking and looking good, it could really have a huge upside. However, if it fails, it'll be obvious why. You'll point back to a lot of different things. People say, oh, offensive line. Yeah, it's put together on paper. These guys still got to go out there, stay healthy all year. They still have to execute together as a group. There's still a lot that needs to happen for it to flourish and actually play out.
Yeah, that's why if you're framing the question as is the NFC wide open? Is the NFC North is wide open? I don't think so. I think the Bears, I still have the Bears, and we'll save this for preseason and how it ends up kind of working out. But I have the Bears. What did we end up last year? 7 wins?
Yes, sir.
I have them coming out with 7 wins again this year, just in a different way.
See, I am at 9, which is what I had them at last year. But I need to see a step forward here. I can't do a stalemate. 5 Crimson. Yeah, 5. if you take a step back, that's not. Listen, it's time for 2 first overall picks and the treasures that come with it to pan out. You need to we need to see this start working. Like it doesn't take this long. It shouldn't, especially when you've had such an influx. Dude, you didn't go out there and gamble a bunch. You've built slowly, you've built carefully, you still have capital for the future, and you're in a decent spot. This has to come together. I don't I can't see less than 7 wins. No way.
So we don't need to get into all that this so far this year. So like
Yeah.
it's day one of training camp. I had some questions lined up for you too. So in terms of positions, okay, what are your top 3 position in general, position battles in terms of what do you think Ben Johnson is bringing to the table? What do you think? Who is kind of underperforming? Who did they draft that looks like a person to replace? Because, and I have a comment that I want to save for later, and Carl's going to enjoy this very, very much. But who are your top 3 position battles for training camp that you're like looking forward to and hearing about moving forward in training camp?
Number 1, left tackle.
Okay, so left tackle is an easy one. So we got Ozzie Trapillo, we got Braxton Jones, and Kieran Amagaji.
I think Kieran needs to take that step forward and try and solidify his role as the next guy up in that situation for sure. And like, if he plays well enough, I would not even mind him taking Braxton's spot. But that is, to me, that's the most important one that I'm kind of staring at.
Okay, so first one you would say position battles in training camp that you're actually interested in would be left tackle. Okay. Any elaboration on that? How do you feel about Trapillo? How do you feel about Jones? How do you feel about Amagaji?
With Jones, it's a Band-Aid. Like, we've already gotten enough out of him for the value we spent on him for a 5th-round pick. Like, I'm happy with the return, right? But I'm not happy being in a situation where like we have to pay him moving forward. So to me, like, this is his last year. He will go somewhere else and get paid. Last year he had some injury issues. So I'm not confident that he'll even make it through all 17 games. He will if he wants to get paid by somebody. So he's going to be motivated to, but injuries are injuries, right? So for me, Kieran really needs to step it up and get it together. There was a lot of promise when you drafted him. And he definitely wasn't ready when he was thrown in there last year. It looked bad.
Was there a lot of promise when you drafted him?
I think so, for a 3rd-round pick. I mean, that's, you're expecting him to contribute when you're drafting a guy that in the 3rd round. I mean, you could still get contribution, and he did not do that. He went in there. He did not look good. It looked bad. I need improvement there. I need a lot of improvement. So my expectation, the bar is probably pretty high for him. Will he reach it? I don't know. I hope so. Trapillo, okay. I really like Trapillo out of these draft picks. However, man, it's tough for me to expect anything from a rookie in the position he's in. But he's in that battle, in my opinion.
So this is the second part of my question in terms of this overall training camp question. Where do you think the depth chart is going into training camp versus where do you think the depth chart comes out of training camp as?
Oh, that's a great question. I think, I hope
right now on paper,
it's
what is the depth chart?
Braxton, so in my opinion, you have Jones, Amagaji, Trapillo. Now Carl disagrees.
Wow.
Right, and a lot of other people disagree. I mean, for me, that's just the pecking order. Amagaji and Trapillo are neck and neck. I mean, easily that can change, but they need to show that they are ready. One of those guys, that they are ready to take over that left tackle position.
So in your mind, it's Braxton Jones's job to lose, and Trapillo has to go over 2 guys to gain.
Ideally.
Okay. And by the end of training camp and preseason, how do you look at this depth chart starting the season game 1? Vikings, game 1, Monday night, who's starting at left tackle? Who's the backup?
It's probably Braxton Jones still starting.
So you think at the end of the training camps process, you still have Jones, who's backing him up?
I think Trapillo. I think.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean because of how bad Amagaji looked, he's got a long way to go. I want him to do it, but like it's a lot to ask of a guy. It really is.
Okay. So I don't know if I should start with my we might do two each because I have a spicier one for my second answer. My first answer for this one is Crimson kind of nailed it, and I think one of my answers, middle linebacker. I think middle linebacker is going to be one of the weirdest things to observe through training camp this entire summer. Because I have no fucking idea what the pecking order is. I don't know who's playing what position at this point. And right now, between Tremaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards, and Ruben Hippolyte, and frankly, I guess it's Penei Sewell, or not Penei Sewell, sorry, Noah Sewell. I think that's 4 middle linebackers on your team. And I have no idea how this is going to shake out. So I would not be shocked by a Tremaine Edmonds cut or trade. I would not be shocked by a TJ Edwards starting at middle linebacker and Hippolyte just being like the absolute Demario Davis wrecking ball 4-3 middle linebacker, just running up the middle between the linemen all summer. And I don't know how to feel about linebacker, and I don't even know what they're judging it on. Because I don't know what Dennis Allen wants out of his middle linebacker. I pretty much can tell you confidently it's not what Tremaine Edmonds does. I don't think anything that Tremaine Edmonds does is what Dennis Allen wants out of a middle linebacker. He doesn't want a Timu version of Brian Urlacher. He wants a guy who's fast, runs through the defensive line, attacks tackles. And I don't know what to think of Tremaine Edmonds, but then you hear a report today that one of the first plays of training camp, Tremaine Edmonds picks off Caleb Williams in one of the first plays of training camp. So, like, I'm just fucking confused about middle linebacker.
I actually, when Crimson posted that, just like you said, I didn't want to give it away. Those are my 3 for sure. Yeah. So I couldn't agree with you more. Middle linebacker is that second one for me as well. Dude, yes to what you said. I would say with Hippolyte being a rookie, you give him that benefit of not putting all the pressure on his shoulders. Tremaine Edmonds still under contract. He's still young. You know, for the ups and downs he's had, he still is productive. And him and TJ Edwards have had some good chemistry together. So I would not be surprised if that just remains consistent going into the season. Yeah, just because. But yeah, Hippolyte's definitely making the future at that position pretty promising, and so I like that pick too. And I like the speed that kid has, and the way he's able to navigate to the ball. When I was putting highlights together, like that's the one thing I noticed is he is just at the ball. It's good. Like it's nice. He's split defenders to just get through and get at the ball. It's a good thing to see.
My biggest issue is like I just don't want to see the confusion on defense with what type of middle linebacker you're rolling out there. It's like having it's worse than having a different type of running back out there, right? Where it's like, oh, once in a while we'll have like a scat back. Once in a while we'll have like a power back. You can't just like rotate linebackers in and out and be like, well, now we're doing our coverage linebacker. Now we're doing our fucking other linebacker. Like, no, this guy's got to be pretty good at being out there 80% of the snaps. So like,
yeah, and you're going to play nickel a lot, David.
And I said this going into just learning about what Dennis Allen does and what Dennis Allen, when we hired him, I was like, TJ Edwards is going to be the middle linebacker going forward. He is Demario Davis. He is a perfect replacement and substitute for what that guy did with the Saints for years. And I don't understand what Tremaine Edmonds' job is on this team. So to like answer my own question is like, what is the linebacker depth chart? I'm just going to say like middle linebacker. I'm not going to say linebacker 1, linebacker 2, but like overall middle linebacker right now, the depth chart would be Tremaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards, Ruben Hippolyte, Noah Sewell. And by the time this training camp ends, and this team is kind of rounded into form of what it wants to do, I would have TJ Edwards at 1. I would have Ruben Hippolyte at 2. I would have Tremaine Edmonds at 3. And I would have Noah Sewell still at 4 and possibly cut off this team. But at that point, why is your best, highest paid linebacker and best linebacker on paper your third linebacker? Like, there's got to be somebody in this league who would like to take it off your hands. No?
And that's why people brought that up during this last offseason. Like, hey, is this a moving piece? Can you get rid of them? You know, how much money do you save and this and that? We're not up against the cap, so we're not forced into a situation where you have to move them. And having a player like that on your team for this year, I think, is beneficial. Listen, if somebody really needs it and offers you something good, yes, it's a piece that's out there that you would consider hearing offers on. However, if it winds up like that going into the season and we keep that, I would not be upset with that kind of rotation and depth. So, yeah, the whole offense was pulled. Yep, I heard that. It's the first day of training.
Answer, yeah,
is what it is. So
we'll talk about that moving forward, but just like.
But yeah, my third position, David, is definitely defensive end. I think that's a big one too. I know, dude, there's a lot riding on Austin Booker too, but I don't think he takes that starting spot from Omagaji. And
Austin Booker might be off this
team.
So
exactly. I mean, that's what you get for drafting a defensive end in the 5th round, right? So. Yeah, but it's an important position, is what it is. So, and that position is always a rotation. Still, I'd love to see a fight there and some scrappiness there. I'd love to see, over performance of expectations from defensive end too, whoever that may be. Like, we need that position to come through big for us to be an impactful defense. Otherwise, we have a hole. And it's obvious. You know what I mean?
Here's my thing about this position in general. And I think it's just going to be kind of it's so dependent on what we see in the preseason, which is going to be super vanilla, right? Preseason this year is maybe the least excited I'm ever going to be in my life about preseason, because I'm very aware that Dennis Allen and Ben Johnson are just going to be running shit to see like what works, what fits. Right. But it's not going to be real. It's not going to be what they're actually running. Maybe it is, maybe on some level. But the thing I know about Dennis Allen is he likes big defensive ends, big 5-man lineups, right? 5-man defensive lines. Like we're listening to all this stuff about how Dayo Odengbo is like going to be, this 6'6", 290-pound monster. How Gervon Dexter is going to be explored at defensive end and rotated out. You have all this stuff going on. And Carl saying like Booker off this team. I think he'll literally be the bottom defensive end of the depth chart, just based on what his positional value and what he can do to this team is as offered. So maybe it's not realistic. I don't think it's nonsense.
Yeah, following the financials, Dio's number 2. You know what I mean? It's just is what it is. But like I said, defensive ends, that's you're going to rotate through them, man. So each of these guys is going to see their fair share of playing time.
Yeah. So I'm with you with that defensive end. What I would like to see is a team situation where the good teams in the NFL. Yes, there are a few teams that when you talk about the best pass rushes in the NFL, they have probably like one really, really, really good guy. And then the rest of them are just rotational guys that can just kind of pop in and do a good job. Because when you talk about best pass rushing teams in the NFL, like the Steelers, it's TJ Watt, maybe it's Cam Hayward, but you're not going to be able to name the rest of the guys on the team. If you're talking about the Chiefs, you can name Chris Jones. You could probably say George Karlaftis. Karlaftis had like 5 sacks last year. If I'm not mistaken, it was a former Bear that had like the second most sacks on the Chiefs last year. I forget. I don't know if it was Henry Melton or who was it? It was Oh,
I'm not
God,
sure.
it's driving me nuts. But it's they had a former Bear who's like a training camp cut as their second defensive tackle on the Chiefs last year. And so I don't really necessarily think that like a good defensive line, like we don't even talk about Montez Sweat anymore. Mike Pennell. It was Mike Pennell. Thank you. Former Chicago Bear 2 years ago, Mike Pennell.
That's why we need you
Being
on
like,
here, Carl.
it's the second, it's the second like highest sack leader on the Chiefs. It's one guy doing the heavy lifting, and then it's the rest of the team kind of just pulling the rest of the weight. And if Dennis Allen is what you are expecting him to be, which is like basically a secondary head coach, man, like that defensive line should not, like the second defensive end should not be make or break on this team. It should be Montez Sweat, realistically. Montez Sweat is going to earn his fucking pay this year more than any other year he's ever been on the Bears. Like if Montez Sweat is worth what he's getting paid, he better fucking perform this year because he's your heavy lifter.
Especially, too, because you've invested a lot now into that middle. Andrew Billings is nice. Now you got Grady Jarrett there. You know, you
Jerron
have
Dexter.
the Javon Dexter there. Yeah, so you've invested some draft capital. Zach Pickens, you know.
I need double-digit sacks from Montez Sweat this year so fucking badly, it's not even funny. Like, if he doesn't do double-digit sacks this year, I think he needs to be traded, cut, whatever it is, because you need to move on and find an actual defensive end.
No, for sure. And he's definitely in position to be able to earn that. He's got to go out there and execute, man. It's what it is. You got to go out there and do it. But, yeah, those would be my three positions for sure.
But I could – Carl, I love Carl. I would love to know why Austin Booker is not a guaranteed cut from this team, because I can think of
guaranteed.
I can think of six. I'm not saying guaranteed, but like, I mean, it's hard to, I would say I would like to know why he's guaranteed to be on this team, because I can think of six bodies that just like defensive line. Your defensive line is going to have 12 people on this roster.
Because when Velus Jones should have been cut, he still was here for another year. So, like, clearly Ryan Poles does kind of hang on to that draft capital investment a little bit too long sometimes. He does.
Right. And the fact that you traded a draft pick to get Austin Booker.
Correct. So, like,
I don't what defensive ends do we have that are better than Austin Booker? Almost none in terms of pure talent. But Dennis Allen has a clear body type. And I forget the name of the guy that the Bears just picked up off of waiver wires yesterday. He played under the Saints for 2 years. He was like injured for a full year. He didn't play. But he was a 6'6", 290-pound defensive end. I forget his name off the top of my head. He was one of those waiver wire pickups. And so he's not good. Yeah, he's a jag off and he's a terrible player. But there's a clear...
This is why Carl gets attacked on Twitter, by the way.
There's a clear... I'm glad he took his hood off long enough to join us today. But like, there's a clear body type that Dennis Allen wants on this team. Kipasanawa. Yeah, I agree. But there's just a body type that he wants at defensive end, and Austin Booker is not it. He's like 20 pounds lighter than Montez Sweat, and Montez Sweat doesn't even fit the body type. But
yeah,
it's kind of a weird situation with the defensive end situation. So like,
it is.
I don't know, for King Buka, I don't know if I've heard any Javon Dexter slander the last few days. I love Javon Dexter. He's literally probably been one of my favorite players on the Bears for the last 2 or 3 years. I want him to do better more than most people. But I just don't know if he's going to be that good. And I think he might work out better as like a nose tackle, because that's apparently what he was going to be like kind of attempting to do. And I think that might be a better situation for him. I think like him at nose tackle when Andrew Billings isn't playing with Grady Jarrett, and then 2 giant motherfuckers at defensive end, and then just having Ruben Hippolyte blitz up the middle between all these guys. I think that's just kind of the recipe for what a Dennis Allen defense looks like, if I'm like referencing the Saints. And so I'm blown away. I'm shocked and appalled that one of my favorite theories for the last 2 years isn't on this team yet, and that's Cam Hayward. I don't even understand how. Not Cam Hayward. I'm sorry. Paulie, help me.
The guy from the Saints.
Yes, the Saints. I thought this. Cam
He
Hayward
just
is the.
he just resigned.
Yeah, I'm blown away that he's not a Chicago Bear now.
Yeah, I can't think of the name off the top of my head either. It's
Yeah,
rusty, man. It's day one of training camp for us too. So.
Yeah, no kidding. We don't have our football brains on right now. It's Cameron something. Cameron Jordan. Thank you, Cameron Jordan. Sorry, my brain caught up. Cam Jordan. I'm shocked he's not a Chicago Bear yet at this point, based on what the Saints roster is and what they need to do. That you could get Cam Jordan for his fucking 7th round pick.
Yeah, David. What you saw last year though is like you saw the Vikings put a lot of guys into good positions in order to be able to make plays. You saw the Broncos overachieve with rookies and no names and like defensively, man, you can get away with it. And you can put these guys in good spots and call good defenses and make it easy on them to sit there and perform. It's like the Patriots always said, just do your job. Just do your job. It's why they get these nobodies and just ask them to do one thing and then put them in position that if they do that one thing, they will have success. Like, so, that there's going to be a lot of work there that has to get done by the defensive coaching staff to sit there and get these guys in good position so we can see some, positive production.
Yeah. So the way we did this experiment earlier with the other 2 positions. So the way I see the line kind of pre-training camp versus end of training camp, I do see still Dio at defensive end. I see Montez at defensive end. I see Grady Jarrett at defensive tackle, like nose tech, or 3 tech. And then I see by the end of training camp, I do see Gervon Dexter at nose tackle. And I just see this giant fucking defensive line of just bodies. And it's not about scheme. It's just putting the best 4 guys out there. And that's what I want to see Dennis Emlin do. I kind of think that's where it's going to be.
I 100% agree with you, man. 100%. So it looks like we are going on 50 couple minutes here.
I have one more position battle, if that's okay.
Okay.
Because
yeah.
So if I'm wrong, I want all the shit talk to go to Carl, because this is Carl's idea. This is his baby.
If you're wrong,
right, I want all the credit.
Everybody needs to tag Carl on Twitter if you're wrong.
Right, and I want if I'm right, I want all the credit.
Yeah, so Carl had no part of it.
I think that's fair. He can't argue back right now. So at the beginning of the offseason, I thought he was kind of crazy suggesting these things. But the more I'm getting into this training camp hullabaloo.
Are you smoking crack with Carl?
Crack pipe Carl got me hooked on the wide receiver battle. And I am starting to get really, really nervous about the wide receiver position, considering we are bringing in wide receivers left and right and depth pieces left and right. And I don't know who.
A little bit.
It's starting to get me a little bit nervous. I wanted to shit on Luther Burden really, really hard at the beginning of the offseason because of him not being there, him not playing, him not practicing. But I've just seen how the second round pick situation is laying out in the NFL, and it's really not Luther Burden's fault at all. If you're following it all, what happened? Tyler Shuck got a fully guaranteed contract as quarterback of the New Orleans Saints at pick number 40, and Luther Burden was pick number 39. And so basically every second round pick picked before Tyler Shuck and near Tyler Shuck was like, well, if this quarterback is getting a fully guaranteed contract, I deserve a fully guaranteed contract as a second round pick. And everything I've heard about Luther Burden, I think he's a fucking dog. I like him more and more. And I think this is one of those unprecedented years where rookies in the NFL are going to set a tone for how the NFL is going to be moving forward. It's just one of those weird years. Like, you're not going to think about Luther Burden as a trendsetter or a training camp cancer or a locker room cancer at all. The same way you're not going to think about any of these other second round picks as cancer. It's just a CBA a contract negotiation type of situation where all these players wanted to get paid guaranteed money, and rightly so, because there's nothing I hate more than a fucking rich billionaire white dude being like, oh no, I can't pay these guys guaranteed $10 million because I'll fucking lose my money. If you listen to Jerry Jones' press conferences last few days, he's calling Micah Parsons Michael Parson. Like, the man's legitimately out of his fucking mind. He doesn't want to pay Micah Parsons.
Do you know how much money it takes to fuel a yacht, David?
Yeah, more than these guys are getting paid. Fucking, so they're looking at it as yachts per day versus like fucking Luther Burdens per year. Dude, the Jerry Jones.
Yeah, I agree with you.
They were one of the funniest things I've ever heard in my life. Jerry Jones calling him Michael Parson and then saying like, well, even if we paid Michael Parson, I don't know if we're going to even see him all season long because he was hurt for 8 games last year. He was hurt for like 4. Like, he's so funny, dude. Like, Jerry Jones is actually funny because he's just that fucking crazy and senile. But so anyway, so if you look at this wide receiver room, Paulie, stop talking. You're breaking up crazy as fuck. So like when I say like I didn't entertain the idea going into training camp, I thought the wide receiver room was like locked and set and pretty much what we thought it was going to be. And I thought it was DJ Moore at 1, Rome Odunze at 2. I thought Olamide Zaccheaus was like 3. Maybe Luther Burden at 4. Like, this wide receiver room could be absolutely fucking crazy by the time training camp ends. Paul, you stop breaking up if you want to chime in.
Yeah, no, I was just saying that we're watching the downfall of Jerry Jones live because he's available publicly so often.
There's nothing more than I would want to watch than a Jerry Jones reality show. That'd be fucking hilarious.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's interesting, David. And wide receiver is definitely a spot to keep an eye on, man.
Well, like, to the extent of we talk about draft picks and draft capital, like Rome Odunze is not going to be any lower than wide receiver 2, no matter what, just because of what you paid for him and what he's got to be, right? So he might end up wide receiver 1, he might end up wide receiver 2. There's no chance in fucking hell he'll be wide receiver 3. Okay? Regardless of where he is on Ben Johnson's opinions or depth chart. Ben Johnson has a history of working with like little diva wide receivers like DJ Moore and Luther Burden because he worked with Jameson Williams. So we'll see how that all works out. And I say diva wide receivers with quotes. I don't think any of them are really divas other than Jameson Williams, who's actually crazy. But I don't. Carl threw this out there the moment I think Luther Burden was drafted and that DJ Moore might be traded. And I thought that was fucking crazy. And the longer we get into this offseason, I think it is such a good point that by the end of next year, or by the end of this upcoming season, if DJ Moore isn't just absolutely gangbusters, or if he ends up being your 3rd most productive wide receiver, there's no reason why DJ Moore shouldn't be on the Chiefs or the Patriots or the Jets. It's kind of crazy because I love DJ Moore. But if he's your highest paid wide receiver and he's producing at wide receiver 3 because Rome Odunze and Luther Burden did better, shit, King Buka said it. Olamide Zaccheaus might be like a sneaky fucking player on this team. And you had Keenan Allen being the number 1 wide receiver statistically last year almost, and he was your wide receiver 3 on paper. So,
and Tyler Scott has no targets, like.
Right. So it's a weird thing. So we got to see what Caleb Williams is going to kind of do with these bodies. But I thought it was crazy at first, but DJ Moore just might not be on this team for very much longer. And I thought it was crazy because I love DJ Moore.
Yeah, smoking crack.
It was a bad attempt at a joke. I'm sorry.
Yeah, crack pipe Carl strikes again.
Yes, sir.
There's
Yeah,
almost a
I like
0%
that take.
chance that Tyler Scott is on this team moving forward.
Yeah, probably.
It's
agree.
closer to 0% than it is to 100%.
Carl, you love it. I know you love it. All right, David. I'm still having network issues, so I think I'm satisfied with how the show went with
An
all the issues and
introductory
whatnot.
test drive.
Yeah, we'll be back next week for sure. I'll clean my stuff up, and pretty more consistently. Oh God, Carl. Yeah, of course, snitch. What a little. Everybody attack Carl on Twitter. Remember, if you do anything this week, make sure you go at him on Twitter somehow. Dave, any closing thoughts?
No, I think moving into this offseason, I feel so confused about what the Bears can be and will be that I think NFL ski with Carl is going to be much more interesting at the beginning of the year this year than the Bears Twitter, because the Bears to me are just such a wait and see and I have no idea type of team that the NFL as a whole is very interesting, but the Bears right now is just so wait and see. The other part is I am parallel watching the Bears Twitter and the Patriots Twitter until further notice.
Yeah, comparing those two situations
For obvious reasons.
For obvious reasons. Guys, thank you, everybody. Highlight videos will be coming more consistently as well. So, yeah, we're back. Football's back. It's nice. I love it. I'm sure you all do,
two
too.
more weeks until the NFL, what is it? The Hall of Fame game.
August 10th is our first preseason game. So, yeah, it's right around the corner. Guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Sorry about all the technical issues. Like I said, we'll get that cleaned up. Bear down. And, we'll see you next week.